Hey fellow animators, I'm Miloš Černý. So we have went through all the parameters of CatParent and Hub already. In this video we will take a look at arms and legs. So let's start with an arm and create one for our hub here. When you select the bone from it, you can see it has all these different parameters here. So let's go through all of them again. We have covered the name and color already, and copying as well. Maybe what's worth a mention is that these upper buttons are for copying the whole limb settings, and these bottom ones are for copying just the selected bone, in this case the forearm. These three switches are for setting up the correct side of the bone chain, but you don't usually have to worry about them too much, they are set up automatically pretty well. You can decide if you want your arm to have a collarbone or not, and same with the palm. Sometimes you don't need these bones for your rig, so instead of just deleting the bones, you should disable them here. In my last T-Rex video I have mentioned why are collarbones important, by the way, so don't overlook them and use them. Bones number is for setting up how many bones you want your arm to have, surprisingly. It doesn't count the palm and collarbone, so for a human arm you would keep it at 2, but you can put any number you want here. Up vector I will explain in just a second, because we need to have an IK target for that first. Bone name together with a limb name and CatParent name creates the final name for 3ds Max up here, but you already knew that. Down here there's not much new we haven't covered already. Dimensions are self-explanatory. By the way, you can also set them just by moving the bones in a viewport. You can see that the length is different now. The only new thing here is the number of segments, which you might also know as twist bones. If you set it to 3, you can see that the upper arm separated into 3 pieces. For the forearm they will be rotated already by default, because this is the default setup of Cat, so don't worry about that. Anyway, the purpose of these bones is for skinning. They mitigate those sharp mesh deformations during twisting movements, hence the name twist bones. As you can see, when you rotate the palm now, the part closest to the upper arm almost doesn't move at all. This means that the twist movement is being spreaded between the whole forearm and not just around the elbow joint. Which gets us to this curve here. This tells us how the twisting should happen. You can change the curve and see the result. Now it means that the twisting will be small at start and get bigger later on as it gets to the palm. It's more visible with more bones. However, I keep this at default values pretty much all the time, but you have this option. By the way, 3 twist bones are enough for basically any part of the rig. You will very rarely need more than 3, so don't overdo it. For the palm, all is pretty much the same except this one thing here. It sets number of fingers for the palm. 4 means 4 fingers, and the thumb will also be set up properly. 2, okay, that's a middle finger. 5 it is then. After selecting a bone from a finger, again a standard stuff. Basically just number of bones and dimensions. The only thing here is curl weight parameter, which you don't have to worry about too much. It sets how much you want this finger bone to be affected by the procedural motion layer when animating procedurally. 1 means 100%, 0 means 0%. It's again a bit more advanced, but now you know it's here. And when we are talking about the limbs, we have to mention inverse kinematics. When you go to a motion panel, you will find this Create IK Target button here, which will create this cross for us, our IK target. If you don't know what I'm talking about and what inverse kinematics is, you should definitely check out this video, in full. It is very essential that you understand what IK is and how to use it. The link is also below the video, check it out for sure. It's also the most popular video on this channel, by the way. Okay, so the settings for the IK target are just these. Dimensions and switching between platform and across. I usually use platforms, by the way. And that should be it for the whole arm. Let's also check out the leg. First, let's get this out of the way. And let's also move the platforms to palms, which is this button here. But you already knew that because you watched the IK-FK video I've just mentioned, right? Okay, so the leg is pretty much the same as an arm, but it has some parameters set differently by default, like disabled collarbone, as you usually don't need it for legs. or created IK target from start, because you usually want legs in IK when animating. And here we can actually explain what up vector does. But you guessed it, it creates this helper which tells the knee joint where it should be rotated. Let's create another leg, and we have ourselves a happy little rig, called Bob Ross, because why not? By the way, even though the leg and arm bone chains are similar in parameters, they act a bit differently in an Eyes of Cat. They have different movements in procedural layers, for example, and few other things. So when you need a leg, create a leg and not an arm, and vice versa. Okay, and that should be it for now. I hope you have enjoyed this and learned something new. If not, then you should be happy with yourself. I'm Miloš Černý and thank you for watching.